Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video, as you can probably tell, going to be doing a tier list, and this is for my 2021 reads so far. So I had to actually make an account for this, which not even an account for Tier Maker. It made me make a Twitter account. I don't understand why. So that was annoying, but it's done. So I have this lovely tier for us to take a look at everything that I've read so far. So I will note that this is, more specifically, I'm rating my 2021 reads against each other. So the rankings will not necessarily be all time. Some of them it will be, some of them it won't. I'm going to try and have it spread out and not all just be I love this. But I really didn't read many books that I didn't like so far this year. There have been very few. I didn't include DNFs in this list either, because there's a few of those throughout. And then some of these are ones I read. There's a few trilogies that I read, and they're all in an omnibus, so I'm going to be kind of rating them together. I wish I would have done some of the other series together, because that would have made a cleaner list. But the books are individual when I loaded them all in here. This is all just based on what I updated on Goodreads, so it should be a pretty good list. But we'll find out. And these are in no particular order. It's just how they uploaded. But let's get started. Probably going to have a lot of shuffling once get going. So first we have Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. And I really loved that book. It got me out of a reading slump. And after reading, which, we're just going to throw Poppy War down right now because I hated Poppy War. But after the travesty that was Poppy War and how much I hated that, I didn't want to read anything. Ocean at the End of the Lane was a really short one. I read it in a few hours because it's very short. And I really, really enjoyed the book. So I'm not even going to talk more about Poppy War. If you want to hear that, go watch the review. And I do also, for the record, have a review for virtually everything on this list. There's a few that I haven't had a chance to record yet because I just finished them in June. But most things are there. Next up, we have Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb. That's the first book in the Lifeship Traders trilogy, which I really, really enjoyed. I liked Farseer more, as you'll find out once we get there. But it was a really, really good first book. It was kind of slow in setting up, but I still really enjoyed it. But we'll keep it there in the A tier on the other side of Ocean at the End of the Lane here. Malice by John Gwynne. So this is the first Faithful and the Fallen book. And this might be slightly controversial, but that's going to go in the B because I liked Malice. But it was a setup book, and I wasn't really sold on the series until Valor. So we'll go ahead and set it there. Then we have The Jasmine Throne by Tasha Suri. We'll go ahead and put that in a B tier by Malice as well. I really liked a lot of the parts about this book. Really, really interesting, religious, political type setup. The magic system is really interesting, and the world building I quite liked. But I had some issues with a lot of the non-main characters just not seeming to have a lot of characterization, falling a little bit flat. So we will sit it there. Then we have The Cycle of Fire by Janie Wirtz. This is a trilogy. I just finished the last book right at the end of June. Technically in July. I think it was July 1st I finished it. But it's still, I'm counting it for June. But really, really interesting concept for this trilogy. The characters were good, the plot was interesting, and the core concept was super interesting and I thought pretty unique. But there was something about the prose that just I read it so very slowly. And it definitely was not bad. There would be times I'd read a passage and I'm just that is beautiful, just the way that this paragraph of this page was written, but it just made me read it so slow, and so it made it kind of a slog getting through the trilogy at times, so that's kind of why we're going to put that bottom of B for now. So I'm going to try and spread these out and use all the tiers, because once again, they're being compared to each other, so there should be something in every tier. But Eric, we'll go ahead and put Eric in the C tier, because this is Eric by Terry Pratchett. Discworld novel. There's a couple more that are in here, I think, as well. This was a crazy short one, and it was actually out of the Rincewind ones. I enjoyed this the most so far, maybe partially because it was so short and I didn't have to read too much about Rincewind because I've not liked his books very much at this point going through the series. So we'll put that there. I did like the book, but it wasn't anything leaps and bounds special. So then we have Ship of Destiny by Robin Hobb. That's actually third book in live ship. Second book's in here somewhere. That's going to pop right up to S tier. It was a fantastic book. It was really, really well written. It brought everything together in a fantastic way. A great end to the trilogy. So that definitely belongs up in S tier. Valor. See, this is where it's interesting because I'm pretty sure I rated Ocean 5 stars, Ship of Magic like 4, but it's definitely A. It's just where, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and put it right here in high A tier because especially after finishing the series, I just feel like I remember these better. As I went like 3, 4, and the last two, well, they'll be in the S tier. We'll get there, but so I think I'm gonna sit that at the top of A for now. The Black Company. So this is the Chronicles of the Black Company, the first omnibus by Glenn Cook, and this I enjoyed, but they were kind of slow and they were kind of odd, and I'm not entirely sold on the Black Company at this point. I did drop out of. I was part of the buddy read I had hopped in that Slowly Read was doing. I'll link his channel. I dropped out. That was more so for time, not because I was not liking it, but something I did enjoy. And like I said, basically the only things that'll be in D tier are actual books I really did not like, and there are very few of those, thankfully. So we'll do pretty good. So next we have Weavers by John Walker, and I'll link his channel down below too because he's a booktuber also. It was a really solid book, really great character work, interesting plot, very fast paced. So I'm gonna sit that right up here in B. Black Tongue Thief. I think I'm gonna set that top of B for now, and B is already looking like it's gonna be too long because I'm just putting things in the middle when I can't decide where they go. I'll probably shuffle once I get more on here, but oops, that was supposed to be here. Black Tongue Thief was a really fun book. The only thing keeping it from being higher for me is there was not a lot of plot. It was very journey before destination, and that's what it was designed to be. The world building was fantastic. I loved the main character and a lot of the other characters too. It's told first person. He's kind of telling a story, which is something I don't even normally like that much, but it just freaking worked for the Black Tongue Thief, so I really enjoyed that. So that was a really fun book. I really enjoyed. Mad Ship. Mad Ship will probably... Should that go up with... I'm going to put that top of A for now because I really, really enjoyed it. I had a few issues with it, but I'm trying to not overpopulate the S tier yet because there's a lot more that's going to be going into the S tier here soon. And so I'm trying not to put too much. Next up, we have Moving Pictures, which is another Discworld novel. I'm going to put that bottom of C for now. And once again, I didn't dislike the book. It definitely was not one of my favorites. It was okay. You know, an okay Discworld novel is still better than a lot of things. But I think that'll sit nicely there in C. Then this one, you can't even see the title. Some of these uploaded weird, but that's The Dark One by... is it the top? Yeah, I think the top is the... So, I mean, everything's going to be above Poppy War, so it should be there. I did not care for The Dark One. I didn't do a review or anything for it. I think I talked about it in one of my wrap-ups. I don't really like graphic novels that much, so that definitely is probably a part of it. Just never a media format that I've gotten into. But I thought the story wasn't really great. It was kind of confusing, and the way that it was exposited didn't make a ton of sense. So it wasn't for me. So we'll put that down there. There's something else in D at least. All right, American Gods by Neil Gaiman. I think this was actually the first book I read this year. I was reading some other things at the same time, but that was one of the first things that I read. And I really liked this book. So that probably goes up in A. We're going to put it at the back of A, because I really enjoyed it, but not as much as I think any of these other books. Ruin of Kings. Now, there's an interesting one. That, Ruin of Kings, I think I've never been more torn on a book before. There was so many parts I really liked, and if some other parts would have been different, I probably would have rated it a lot higher. I really enjoyed a lot of it. The narrative structure was just weird, and the ending kind of went off the rails a little bit, but I think I'm going to put that top of C tier. because I did like it, but I had some issues, so we'll put it there. Like I said, I liked pretty much all of these books. So next up, we have The Liar's Key. So that's book 2 of the Red Queen's War trilogy. So let's just do all of those really quick. We'll pop up Wheel of Oshime, the 3rd book, fantastic. And then Liar's Key and Prince of Fools, I feel like were also really good too. Where to put? Maybe like here and here. You know, I'm going to bump Cycle of Fire to the top of C tier here to mix it a little bit better. Yeah. These kind of like, Prince of Fools is really good to start with, but the books got so much better as they went along. And Mark Lawrence, man, I need to read more of his stuff because I've enjoyed the first 6 books that I've read. So here we have some more Hob. So we have Royal Assassin as this one. That's going to go top of S tier for now. Assassin's Quest, oof. That book and Ship of Destiny definitely are so... I'm gonna bump Assassin's Quest just a little bit because I really... Ship of Destiny was a fantastic end. Assassin's Quest, I couldn't even read for like 3 days after because I was just processing everything with it. So good. Mad Ship probably could be up there too, but I'm trying not to overdo it. Shadow of the Gods, I'll put at the top of A tier here. The book was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. At the time when I reviewed it, I said I thought it was John Gwynne at his best. I no longer think that because I'd only read the first 2 Faithful and the Fallen at that point. And what the heck? Let's just grab them and pop them up here because Ruin and Wrath are both going to be in the S tier. But where? I think we'll pop them. We'll pop them between Farseer and Live Ship because these books were so good. And Shadow of the Gods was great. It was more concise. The prose had definitely kicked up a notch, even though Gwynne's prose was good to begin with. But the prose I thought was a lot better. But it just wasn't. It wasn't on the same scale. It didn't have that epic scale of Faithful to the Fallen. And the last 2 books I loved so freaking much, so we'll pop it there. So then we have books 3 and 4 of Crown of Stars. I'm loving this series. The Burning Stone it's book 3, but it was kind of a setup book. We'll pop it here and then I'll talk about it. I might change my mind, but Crown of Stars was kind of a different series because book 1 I really enjoyed. It was more of a setup book. Book 2 then was great. It was a shorter book, but it was just all action, all things happening. And then I think around book 3 is when Kate Elliott decided that it was going to end up being 2 trilogies, or it was not going to be 2 trilogies as she originally planned. It was going to end up being a 6 to 7 book series all one go. So the Burning Stone kind of takes a step back, slows down, sets up a lot more world building and expansion. And then we get to Child of Flame, which was a fantastic book. It just really rolled with everything that had happened. I don't think I can put it above Hob and Gwynne, but man, by the time the series is done, it could be because I've loved the series. Child of Flame actually especially had some plot lines that just felt like they were right out of the Robin Hobb playbook too. So yeah, man, so good. So many good books on here. It's hard to rate books that I loved above each other because S tier and most of A tier, if not all of A tier, are all books that I loved, and then we're going down to B and C, still books that I really enjoyed. So it's difficult. But hey, well, I say that, and then there's Stardust, which Stardust can definitely go in the D tier. I just didn't like it. The movie was really good. I watched the movie afterwards because I was told it was better, and I agree. It just kind of didn't really have that life that I had become accustomed to. That's something extra from gaming, and it just felt really flat to me. So, I mean, it definitely wasn't as bad as Poppy War, but we'll pop that in there as well. So this is actually, I feel like I have these pretty even. So, Jurassic Park, I think I'll slap that up in B here. I really enjoyed Jurassic Park quite a lot. This is getting difficult. I think maybe... Oof. So Reaper Man, I feel like is definitely an A. Probably even here. This was my favorite Discworld novel so far, but Legend also should probably be an A. So that's the problem, because A is too long. Maybe we'll move down American Gods to B. Actually, you know what? Now that I look at it, I'm going to put it right here. Probably this here. And then we can pop this on the end of A. Yeah. Legend was really great. That was my first David Gemmell, the first book in Drenai, and fantastic book. So this is really hard. Like I said, all of these are books that I could easily interchange, but I think this is pretty even. I think I'm happy with this list here. This was really fun to do, but also more difficult than I thought it was going to be. It's just because, like I said, barring these three, these are really the only ones I did not like out of here. There's a few others, like, you know, here that I was not really sure how to feel. Then books like this is part of Crown of Stars, which may end up being one of my favorite series. So that's pretty low for it. But then there's just so much. I've read a lot of good books. It's been a good reading year so far. And so that's really great. Like I said, I didn't throw in DNFs as only books I actually finished. So if I had DNFs, they'd probably be toward the bottom of D tier 2. But I think this is pretty solid and pretty accurate about what I think about most of these books. So definitely a lot could interchange. But hey, this is the list. We're calling it. This is my tier list for the reads I have read so far in the first half of 2021. So let me know in the comments, what are some of your favorite reads from 2021 so far, and maybe to what you're looking forward to still reading. Have you had a year like me where you really haven't read a lot of bad books that you didn't like, or did you have a lot you read that you didn't like too? Let me know. Definitely interested to hear your thoughts on what you've read so far this year. Excited to see. I might have to do one of these at the end of year 2, either for like the entire year, which would be real hard, or maybe just for the second half. I'll have to see when we get there. But if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like. Check the link in the description for the link to the Wizardly Duo Discord if you want to chat books. Here's a good idea of what I've read lately, but we've got a really nice big community there, so we're always talking about everything. But definitely join us if that sounds like fun to you. And of course, if you would like to see more of my content, then make sure to subscribe.